for joining us today. We're going to have a great talk with somebody you may be familiar with. You've been watching my shows. Darell Smith with Greater Dallas Coalition and Dallas Champions Academy. He's out there doing the Lord's work every day, building up the kingdom and helping disadvantaged youth come to Christ and straighten their lives out. So it's good to see you, Darell.
Thank you, David. It's always a pleasure to be here. You know, David and I were talking. I think this is approximately about my fourth time on the show.
Well, you've always got great new material and new things going on, and you were just telling me we're coming up on the college football combine activity, which is going to be coming up in a few months, and you're preparing kids for that.
Yes, David. One of the big events for the Greater Dallas Coalition and the Dallas Champions Academy is our first big event is during the summer when we have our Dallas Champions Academy, where we bring in 17 current and NFL collegiate coaches who teach life skills. There's a spiritual component, there's an academic component, and there's also a mentoring component to our camp. And then in March, the first week in March, we have our college football combine. Over the last 3 or 4 years, we've taken approximately, I think, 25 to 30 kids to a college combine in Oklahoma, where they go through the strength testing, the agility testing, all the different testings at the combine. And the result of this has been phenomenal. We've been able to get 18 kids into college over the last 3 years. And each one of these kids, they're the first in their family to go to college. So that's right around the corner. We're excited. And it's just another program, if you will, to help break the cycle of poverty and getting kids into college. And the Greater Dallas Coalition and the Dallas Champions Academy doing this work in the inner city here in Dallas.
Well, as a supporter and treasurer of the Dallas Champions Academy and Greater Dallas Coalition, it always is so heartwarming and inspiring to hear of the positive work that's going on in the organization. And we have a monthly meeting coming up tomorrow for those in the Dallas area who'd like to learn more in person about the Greater Dallas Coalition. We have a meeting, and where is that meeting?
Well, the meeting will take place tomorrow. I believe that's October 18th. It'll take place at the Cornerstone Community Kitchen. I believe the address is 2711 South Irvay, Dallas, Texas, and the zip code is 75215. It'll be a great meeting. We'll have approximately 30 to 40 of our partners will come in. We'll have 2 or 3 partners who will be giving presentations. As a matter of fact, a good friend of ours will be giving a presentation, Darian Thomas from One Heart, a phenomenal organization, again, doing work with inner city kids. So I'm looking forward to the meeting tomorrow, and hopefully some of you out there be there.
And the great thing about coming to one of these meetings is it's not a meeting where you're going to be asked to donate on the spot. It's a meeting where people network and share positive news, and it's an inspirational, wonderful event that is uplifting to me every month, and I meet somebody new and exciting to interact with. I had the lady on about the health care cards, the prescription cards that are such a good buy. I met her at the Greater Dallas Coalition when she presented the opportunity that those cards represent for other nonprofits to offer them and receive benefits for their members. So it's a great networking opportunity, and I hope that if you get a chance to come to one of the monthly meetings, please do. Please get on our website. Of course, we'd love for you to donate, but we'd also love to hear from you and say that you've enjoyed this programming. It would really warm our hearts to know that we've reached out to you and made a special morning for you. So what else is going on, Darell?
Well, between the coalition, the camp, the combine, one of the things that we're really putting a lot of effort into over the next several months, David, will be a mentoring program. Over the last couple of years for the Dallas Champions Academy, one of the things that we've been able to do as far as our year-round mentoring program is to kind of subcontract our mentoring program out to other organizations who would do the follow-up and the year-round mentoring for us. But one of the things that we really feel is important is that we would follow up with our own kids. And so all the great minds are getting together, and we're really working diligently on creating and developing our own mentoring program where we'll be a little more hands-on, a little more involved with working with the kids and walking with the kids through the different processes, the different ups and downs in life. So that's really a major thing with us right now. A major
and so
focus.
this is a volunteer opportunity for those that may be watching whose heart is moving, saying, I want to love my neighbor. I want to reach out and help disadvantaged children grow. Reach out to us and say you'd like to help mentor children. We can find volunteer opportunities to help you be part of our program and help these kids succeed in life. Isn't that right?
Definitely. Probably one of the greatest fulfillments in my life is actually being a mentor. I've worked with kids pretty much a whole lot over the last 4 or 5 years. And again, there's no greater joy than working with someone who might be a little disadvantaged and be able to pour into that individual, be able to share with that individual my life, and to be able to walk alongside of these individuals and to watch them grow. And it's a beautiful thing to kind of see the light come on, so to speak, when you're working with them, you're counseling with them, you're pouring into them, and all of a sudden, after months or years of resistance, it's like the light comes on.
Isn't that a great moment?
That's a great moment.
And I hope you all will really take advantage of this opportunity that we've got by expanding our program. We need dedicated volunteers. We need people who will enjoy the joy of mentoring a young child and helping them succeed in life. And it's, even if you go to other programs, I'd strongly recommend it. It's wonderful to interact with children and see that breakthrough when they change their life for the better and for Christ.
Yes. Our camp, during the Dallas Champions Academy, those 4 days, we generally come into contact with anywhere from 180 to 200 kids. And it would be prime if we can connect every single kid with their own personal mentor who would just walk throughout the processes of life with these young people. They need it. Unfortunately, in the inner city, it's not all bad, but unfortunately, there's just not enough mentors.
Especially male mentors.
Especially male mentors who are willing to sacrifice time, sacrifice energy, who's willing to answer their phone when the call comes in. And so we're really looking for mentors who are willing to make that sacrifice and make that commitment, because it's a commitment.
Big commitment.
It's a big commitment, and I think that's kind of like what the struggle is. Are individuals really ready to make that commitment? And I'll tell you, as one who has made that commitment, it's worth it. It's worth it to see a young man or a young woman graduate from high school. When you met them, they were struggling. They were struggling in there, and I'm thinking of a kid right now. He's in my mind. Working with him, he was struggling in his reading. I remember talking with one of his guidance counselors. Their hopes of him graduating was slim and none. And then when I finally got the phone call that he had passed all of his SATs and that now he's going to college, there's no greater joy.
What a great satisfaction.
Thinking about mentoring, my mind is is kind of racing. A couple of years ago, about 5 years ago, David, I took about 22 elementary and middle school kids to SMU. They were doing a tour of SMU. And I have a young lady in my mind who, had it not been for this opportunity to go to SMU, probably would not have a dream. 5 years later, this young lady, all she ever talks about is going to SMU. And she gets the grades. She's a great student. She gets the grades. And that's all that she talks about. And to see that, that from a small trip with a group of mentors on the SMU campus has birthed a dream for this young lady. There's nothing like it. I'm passionate about this.
What a wonderful story. And I hope that you'll take advantage. Now, not everybody has to be a super mentor like Darell. Darell is really on fire with the Lord and is doing the kingdom work out here in the world. And, one thing you can do to support mentoring is, like I do, donate so that others who are really great at mentoring have an opportunity to share their love and respect with these kids on a full-time basis. Because donations like I make and like you can make allow Darell to undertake the mission he does on a daily basis out there in the community. So it's all exciting. It's wonderful to see you express the passion this mentoring has led you to. And so the mentoring is going on year-round, building these kids up for success in their future.
Yes, it's a year-round mentoring program. But allow me to say this. You don't have to be great at mentoring. You just have to be willing.
Yeah.
You just have to be willing to again, sacrifice some time and be willing to be transparent and real with kids. Because nowadays, that's what they're looking for. They're not looking for preaching. They're not looking for teaching. They're looking for people who are going to be real, who are going to allow them into their lives. And the flip side is that these young people will allow you into their lives. So again, you don't have to be great. You just have to be willing.
Well, and that's important. And even mentoring older kids and young adults is a vital area. I mean, you got mentored through some of your troubled past and changed your life around because people took time out of their schedule to share the Lord's love with you and steer you onto the path you're on now, which is so positive and wonderful.
Yeah. You know, David, I can look back over my life. I can, for my pastor, Pastor Jesse Perez from Victory Outreach Church of Dallas. I look at Pastor Ted Smith, just different men, even the executive director of the Greater Dallas Coalition, Ron Wilcox, even yourself have poured into my life. And I don't think that we ever get to an age where, or a stage in our life where we don't need mentors. So it's not about age, it's just about connecting with someone and helping them through the different nuances of life.
We all need to be bolstered in our faith.
Yes.
Whether it's watching a program that encourages you and shows you that others are following Christ, that you're not alone in loving your neighbor and loving God, but we all need to be boosted up, and that's one thing you get from going to church, but you also get from it for going to events like Coalition meetings or just networking with your friends and being supportive and encouraging them along the way of Christ, so we can all do our work, because we all get distracted and worn out a little bit by the secular world.
Yes. One of the things I love about Christ in the Bible, he says, suffer or allow the little children to come to me. And so it appears it was always Christ's goal for children to be drawn in near to them. And again, sometimes a young child or even an adult, or for that matter, may not pick up a Bible. They may not read a Bible. But as we're interacting, as we're having fellowship and communion, as we're engaging these young people, they're reading the Bible as they look at our lives. And there's probably no greater way to bring about transformation and change in the life of a young person than being there, working with them and mentoring them in the ways in the life of Christ Jesus.
Well, you're hitting it right on the head. And so, one way we can share God's love in the world is by loving our neighbors ourselves. And your neighbor includes the disadvantaged child that you don't know yet, but that you can make a real difference in their lives, especially if you're a man who has the ability to set aside some time after school hours to mentor and network with these children and help them succeed in life. It would be a tremendous blessing if you'd get in touch with us and join us in this effort. There are a lot of other opportunities out there, and we don't want to discourage you. If you have another opportunity, we want to encourage you to mentor whenever you can, because it is a powerfully beneficial to both the child and yourself. There's nothing more satisfying than the joy of giving to others and seeing them succeed because of your efforts. So we're all good, and so you've really enjoyed your mentoring.
Yes. I've enjoyed it. Just real quick, just share. There's a statistic out there, and it's a true statistic, and the statistic says this, that DISD high school graduates, less than 7% of them are ready for college.
Right.
Less than 7%. That's a huge gap. And David, you mentioned it before. That is a perfect opportunity for men of faith, to come in and fill that gap. Because not only will we be mentoring young men and young girls in their academics as a key to their success. Yeah, academics, there's an element of success there. But it's the Christian faith and to help them develop that faith that's really going to help them reach the level of success that God wants them. And so again, we're looking for mentors. If you're out there, you say, hey, you know what? I have some spare time. Or maybe you don't even have spare time, but you're willing to carve out some time to come alongside us and help us in our efforts to mentor these young people. give us a call. Go to our website, the DallasChampionsAcademy.com. Send us a message. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll definitely get you plugged in.
Well, mentoring is so great, and this has been a great conversation to talk about how strong mentoring has been in your life, and it's wonderful to hear about these successes and the satisfaction you got out of mentoring kids. And it makes me very happy as a donor and treasurer to hear of the good work that's going on an ongoing, almost daily basis with the Greater Dallas Coalition. And I hope if you're just tuning in, you will think about coming to our Greater Dallas Coalition meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock and at Cornerstone Baptist Church Dining Hall down on South Irving. And we'd love to have you. And you'll find it a very inspirational, uplifting meeting. And of course, as always, because every charity is always dollar limited, we'd love to have support of any amount of money to our online giving. It's a powerful validation of this show that it's been something you've enjoyed for us to receive donations with a note. You can add a note to your donation saying, I enjoyed the show, I enjoyed hearing about mentoring, and we would love to hear from you. And so we've got the mentoring going on year round. We've had a really successful camp, and we're laying the groundwork for another camp next year.
Yes.
And we're building these kids up, getting them ready for the March Combine, which is really exciting. So there's a lot of good things happening. What about the coalition and some of the coalition members have really been doing things for Hurricane Harvey victims too? Oh,
yes, yes. Immediately after the hurricane, we had a meeting. Several of our coalition partners, we had a meeting. We started to strategize and think, how could we provide some resource or some help to the recovery efforts. And so we have different ministries who are, we've had teams go down and help with the rebuilding process, the cleanup process. As a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago, I actually drove to Omaha, Nebraska to pick up recovery supplies to have them shipped down to Beaumont, Texas, where there was a lot of damage. So there's a lot of different partnerships, a lot of different efforts on behalf of different partners of the Greater Dallas Coalition to bring some recovery effort to those who have been affected by the hurricanes.
Yeah, well, I was very heartened, and no doubt we'll get an update tomorrow at the coalition meeting about some of the heroic efforts that have been made by some of our partners in that area. And I know Pastor Karen had taken in a bunch of people in her facility, and in addition to the daily feeding that she does to the homeless and the needy. So it really is a wonderful thing. And you know, it's so wonderful to love your neighbor by helping others, and through organizations like the Greater Dallas Coalition that are very cost efficient and really helping nonprofits network and share resources and not be doing work in competition with each other, but in cooperation with each other.
Definitely. You know, the Greater Dallas Coalition definitely has a kingdom perspective. And what I mean by that, it's not about denomination. It's not about a particular church. It's about the kingdom. And I believe maybe a former First Lady said it in this terms, it's going to take a village. And our perspective is, from the Christian faith, is going to take the kingdom to make a difference. Every church, every denomination has its place and it has its role, but the overall picture is kingdom. And so the Greater Dallas Coalition, we get together on the kingdom principle. We come together to collaborate, to partner, to network together to make a difference, not only in our neck of the woods, but in the neck of the woods somewhere else. So we're constantly partnering with one another. As a matter of fact, there's an event that's a part of the coalition called Reconcile Dallas. And it's an event that's going to take place at St. Philip's Episcopal School in South Dallas, where over 2,000 children will have an opportunity to receive new shoes. It's kind of supported by a church called Impact, but what we're doing is we're bringing to the table multi-ethnic, multi-denominational churches and groups not only to serve in providing these young people the shoes, but also to fellowship. this past week on Saturday, all those who are the leadership and those who are the volunteers, we got together for a worship service, a unity worship service. So again, it's about the kingdom and bringing every nation, every tongue together to worship God and to serve God and express the unity that God prayed that we would all have when he said that they might be one as I'm one with the Father.
Well, and one thing that everybody can do, and we'd love to have the word spread about the Greater Dallas Coalition to pastors and leaders around the community to join our organization and learn about the vibrant, good work that's being done in South Dallas and areas that they can assist, because many in more affluent areas do want to reach out and help their disadvantaged neighbor. And the Greater Dallas Coalition is a great way to meet grassroots charities on neutral turf where it's not a fund soliciting event. It's a networking and love event to support people in their work as followers of Christ.
Exactly. And again, we would love to have you at our meeting tomorrow. Feel free to join. Now, I know generally when you hear the word join, our minds are a little taken back and we're thinking membership fees and papers. That's not the case with the Greater Dallas Coalition. When we say join, we say come and join us in the work. There are no membership fees. There is no paperwork to fill out. Once you come to one of our meetings, you're officially a Greater Dallas Coalition member, and we definitely want your partnership to join us.
There's strength in numbers, and you never know what opportunity you're going to have to make someone's life better and do God's work here on earth. And that's something that I think is so important. And of course, giving financially is, a wonderful thing. And in many cases, you may not have the time or the ability to really do something like mentoring a kid. By giving to Greater Dallas Coalition, you are supporting our mentoring efforts, and that is another way to give. But unfortunately, as an abstract giver, you don't get that immediate satisfaction when the child has that aha moment and makes that turn to success that you can have with in-person mentoring like Darell has talked about.
Well, one of the phrases that we use with the kids is that we're going to get you across the stage. That's important in the inner city where not only the college prep is at such a low percentage, where many don't graduate. And so our goal, one of our goals, is to make sure that every kid that's mentored cross the stage and have that opportunity to go to college. Yes, it's a thrilling
It is really hard to imagine how many kids don't finish high school. Yes. You think of high school as a given that everybody finishes high school, but we have a bunch of kids here in Dallas, Texas that don't cross the stage. And so they really need mentoring. They need support. You need to support organizations that help these kids break the cycle of poverty. Of course, you've heard me talk on other shows about the importance of early childhood education to break the cycle of poverty before it even gets started in young lives age 0 to 4. But the fact is, there's lots of kids that didn't get that quality early childhood education. They can still be helped by the kind of mentoring that Darell is doing and that you can help with or do yourself. So let's all pitch in together to try to wipe out this crisis of non-completion of high school, not walking the stage. And, I just went to an educational forum this morning and heard a lot of statistics, just like you're saying, and there is so much room for improvement in our city, and we live in a great, prosperous city, and it really is a tragedy that so many are left behind. And that's what the Greater Dallas Coalition is trying to soften and solve some of that disparity that exists in our society. So who's going to be on next in our meeting tomorrow?
Actually, we're giving a presentation tomorrow will be Pastor Kwesi Kamau. He is the lead pastor of Impact Church, and also he is the lead church for the Reconciled Dallas movement that will be taking place at St. Philip's Episcopal School this Saturday with the over 2,000 pairs of shoes being given away. We also have Darian Thomas from One Heart, which is which is another urban ministry that reaches out to specifically youth. And I'm excited about both presentations. Pastor Chris is going to be highlighting us and giving us an update on where we're at as far as Reconcile Dallas. And then Darian Thomas is going to be talking about how One Heart can come play a role with us in the development of our mentoring program.
Well, and then we got a Thanksgiving event coming up.
Yes,
too.
Thanksgiving event, I believe it's November 11th. Margaret James, the Metropolitan Dream Center, they're going to be feeding close to 2,000 people at the Cornerstone Community Kitchen on, again, that Saturday, November 11th. A lot of activities coming up, a lot of opportunities to get in and to volunteer.
Now, where is that Cornerstone Kitchen again? That's on.
The address is 2711 South Irvay, Dallas, Texas, 75215.
215. So, love to have you come out tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, to hear some inspiring good news and learn about new avenues that you can help do God's work here on earth. And of course, there'll be other events, and you'll be able to learn about possibly participating in some of these upcoming events, either as a volunteer or as a donor, or just saying a prayer for the success of the group. Because prayers matter, and we need prayers for our success in breaking the cycle of poverty for as many people as we can. And that's my goal as treasurer, is to maximize the Greater Dallas Coalition and to maximize Darell's effectiveness in the community by bringing more resources to the coalition so that it can do God's work here on earth. And so mentoring is great.
Mentoring is great.
And it's so inspiring to hear Darell. Every time Darell comes on the show, we get to talk about new material, and it's always uplifting and inspiring. And I hope you have really enjoyed being with us today. And go to our website to learn about mentoring, to learn about our monthly coalition meetings. Of course, there's online donation, which we love, and there's going to the Dallas Champions Academy to hear the positive story about it and see the wonderful video that's on the website. So it's always exciting and uplifting to have Darell Smith with us today. And, you know, I always come away from this show with a positive feeling in my heart. It's practically as good as going to church. Not nearly as good as going to church, but I hope that you've enjoyed our show and found it inspirational to hear people doing God's work in the world. And I hope you have a great week, and tune in again to see what happens next. Next week, I've got Bishop Sumner of the Episcopal Diocese on.